Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. My name is Caitlin, and today we are going to be talking about my 24 books I want to read in 2024. And I don't normally make lists of books that I want to read because I never stick to them. I never stick to a TBR, so normally I just read as I go. I like come up with, when I finish a book, I'm like, okay, what do I feel like reading next? I'm much a mood reader. But I figure this year I really want to try and get through as many of my physical books as I can, because I would guarantee you probably half of that shelf are books that I've never read. So I really want to try and get through a lot of them this year. So almost, I think all but 4 books on this list are books that I own already or I either have downloaded on my Kindle. And there's 4 books that are like anticipated reads for me that I'm putting on my list because I really want to read them this year, and I feel like I'm going to end up reading them. So I'm like, I might as well just put them on here because the inevitable, I will probably end up purchasing them and reading them. If you can hear a bell throughout this video, my cat is upstairs and she is going a little bit crazy right now. So if you hear a bell, that is her. So I'm sorry about that. So we're gonna just get into it. These books are in no particular order, and I really truly am gonna try my absolute hardest to really get through these books this year, and I will hold myself accountable, and by the end of the year I will make a video saying what books I actually read for the year, and we will see if I actually was able to keep up with this list. Number 1, first book that I want to read this year is 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna West. Weist. I am not a nonfiction person at all, and it's so funny because already the first book that I have read this year is technically a nonfiction book. It was a memoir, but I bought this book when I was trying to read through 5 nonfiction books of last year, and I never ended up getting to it. And truthfully, I really would like to read it, and I feel like it's one of those ones that actually would be fairly easy to get through because it is an essay. So a lot of these are like it's formatted weird or like different. It's not just like a straight page or straight chapters. There's like questions and answers. So I feel like it's one of those ones that I'm just going to continuously read through this year, and eventually I will get through it. It's a hefty book, so I feel like it'll take me a while, but I really would like to read that this year. Number 2 on my list is Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I really wanted to read this last year and I just never got around to it. I feel like I was just intimidated by it. I feel like books that are super hyped up and that I'm super excited to read sometimes make me be like, I don't want to read it yet because I don't want to I either don't want it to let me down or I don't want it to be over already. So I feel like this is finally the year that I will read Tomorrow. And I'm really excited. I'm a big video game person, so I feel like I will enjoy that aspect of it because a lot of the people who don't even like video games said that they enjoy that aspect of it. So I feel like it'll be cool. And yeah, I'm really excited. This is like top priority, one of the top priorities for me to read this year. All right, the next series, I guess, or the first series of books that I want to read this month is the Cruel Prince trilogy. And now I read The Cruel Prince in 2021, I believe, and I really enjoyed it. It took me a minute to get into because I had not read fantasy in years at that point. So it took me a while to get into, and then I bought the next 2 books in the series, but I just never got around to reading them. So I would like to reread The Cruel Prince because I feel like now that I've read a lot more higher fantasy, I feel like I would enjoy this more. And then from there, I also like to read The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing. So this is one of the ones I would like to get through. And I feel like sometimes too, it's nice when you reread a book because you kind of can read it a little bit quicker because you're like, oh yeah, I remember this, blah, blah, blah. So those 3. Okay. Next series is the one that is on the top of my list this year, and it is, can you tell? The Assassin's Blade. Well, sorry, not the, I'm looking at the Assassin's Blade, that's why. The Throne of Glass series. So last year I read the first 2 books in the series at the very end of the year, and I am now hooked. After reading Crown of Midnight, I am hooked. Is that what it was? Crown of Midnight? Yes. I was into Throne of Glass, and then Crown of Midnight at the very end hooked me. I'm in. So this is my priority. I really want to try and get through this year. I feel like this will be such an accomplishment if I am able to get through this. So I still have to read The Assassin's Blade, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows. I'm also going to attempt, I hope, this year to do the tandem read of Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. I have to go through and like bookmark everything, and this mammoth of a book, Kingdom of Ash. It was funny. Austin came downstairs yesterday to grab a book off my shelf, and he saw this book on there, and he was like, there's a huge book down there. I said, what is it, Kingdom of Ash? And he's like, yeah. He's like, how would you even attempt to read that? And I said, I don't know. I'm probably just going to take the L on it, and sorry, the cow and her bell is so distracting. I'm just gonna take the L, and I'm probably gonna end up getting this on my Kindle because there is no way I'm gonna be able to just like dive into that. But anyway, Throne of Glass series, really hope to get through it this year. All right, so with all those series out of the way, that brings us into our 11th book. Is that what I'm talking about? No, this is my 12th book. So number 12 is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. Now, I read Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood a couple years ago, and I loved it. I was so in love with it. And then I started reading Love on the Brain, and I just wasn't as into it. As into it, so I have this one as well, Love Theoretically, and this one I feel like has gotten a lot of good reviews. So I'm gonna try and get into this one again. I really liked Ali Hazelwood's writing style in Love Hypothesis, so I hope that this one will be similar. So this one is on my list. I also just kind of want to get into some like regular old like cheesy romances again. Like that's like what got me hooked in reading again, and then I kind of drifted away from it last year, and then like last year I was reading all over the place, and then this year I want to try and get back into reading those more periodically throughout while I'm reading like some of these like heavier books like the Throne of Glass series, like to throw those ones in there here and there. Okay, book number 13 is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is the only Emily Henry book I have not read other than her young adult books. I love Emily Henry. She truly is my favorite author. I love every single one of the books I've read by her. Her stories are so good. Her characters are so well developed. I love the banter in her books, the humor. I love it all. So this is the last book. This was actually on my list for last year to read, and I just never got around to it this summer. So I am going to read this year. I will read this. And I know that this one I feel like is a lot of people's least favorite, I feel like, of her books, just from what I've heard from people talking. But anyways, I'm still excited to read it. I'm excited to get into it. All right, and then on the same kind of fluffy romance novels, Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This one is one that I purchased solely because I know that it's set in Muskoka, which is very close to where I live and grew up. So I was very intrigued by that, and then I just never ended up reading it. So anyways, I'm excited to read this year. I think I'm going to end up reading it in the summer. I always have like all these books that I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to read these in the summer. Like these two, I'm like, I'm going to read these in the summer. And then summer comes, and then I never read them for some reason. But this is on my list. I will read this one this year. I think I've even started this one because it looks like I have a bookmark in here. Yeah, I got to page 22 on this one, so I will be restarting it, but hope to read this one this year. All right, number 15. This book has been on my shelf easily since 2020. If I do not read this one this year, I am finally getting rid of it. I am not putting it on my shelf anymore. I do not deserve the right to have it on my shelf if I still have not read it, but it is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And I don't know what it is about this one. I think it's just because I feel like there's so much polaring opinions on this book that makes me nervous to read it. People either love it or they hate it, and I am scared to be one to hate it, and then it's going to put me on a book slump. So but I will read it this year. I really want to. It's always intrigued me, the storyline to it, so I don't know. I really want to try and read it this year. Try and get through it. Number 16 is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I would love to get back into reading some suspense novels and some thrillers. I was reading them a couple years ago. Again, last year I didn't really read any, so I'm excited to read this year. This has again been one that's been on my bookshelf for a while, and I feel like it'll be good. I feel like it'll be a quick read too, because it's pretty small. I mean, I don't think it's, maybe it's, yeah, it's only 300 pages. So I feel like this will be one that I'll be able to get through fairly quickly. So excited for that one. And then again, on the same kind of note of the thriller suspense kind of novels, is Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina. Truly the only reason I have not read this is because I hate books like this. Books that have these weird freaking edges. You know, it's supposed to make it look like rustic or something, and they're just like a larger size book. Like if this is a normal size book, like they're just this weird, I don't know what it is about them, but they just drive me crazy. So I will read it this year, but I just don't know why I feel weird about reading this book. But anyway, I'm excited to read this because my friend Brianna, she loves Sherry Lapina. I'm pretty sure it's Sherry Lapina that she likes to read. So I'm excited to try her out and read one of her novels. All right, getting down to the end. This is the final book that I actually physically have on my shelf that I would like to read this year, and it is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This book I feel like is like the epitome of like if you read romance TikTok inspired books, like this is the one that you would have read, and I still have not read it because I'm scared to read it. So I really want to read it this year. I feel like, again, it's just gonna be one of those cozy, sweet books that's gonna make you cry, but it's also gonna make you fall in love, and I'm just very excited. I feel like this one might be the first one on my list of things to read, just to like throw in a quick little romance, just to get me off on the good foot. Not that it'll be the first I read of the year because I'm already into 3 books, and are any of those books the ones in this pile? No, but we won't talk about that. But yeah, I really would like to read Love in Other Words. Okay, now on to solely books that I do not, I mean, I don't have physically, but I have them on my Kindle, so they've already been pre-downloaded onto my Kindle, and I would like to read them this year. So first one is The Serpent of, sorry, I'm reading them off my computer. The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I would really like to read this one. I am very much in my fantasy era, and I feel like everybody was hyping this one up last year, like beginning of last year, and I was interested, I was intrigued, but I was just like, I have too many books on my plate right now to read this, so I didn't read it last year, but I would really like to try and read that one this year. And then the other one that I have on my Kindle is The Heart of the Raven Prince by I think it's Tisana Odette. But this one is part of a series called the Entangled with Fae series, and I know technically this is the second book in that series, but ever since Sarah Caroli read it as like a one-off book, she read it and she loved it and she raved about it. I've been intrigued to read it, and even though it's the second book in the series, she said you can still read it first and you still totally get it. But it's basically like a fantasy, it's like a fantasy Cinderella retelling, so I'm very intrigued by it. It involves fae, sounds intriguing. I think it's young adult, so again, one of those like easier, quicker fantasy reads, so I'm intrigued. I would like to read it. Okay, and then the last 4 books that we have are books that are coming out this, or sorry, no. 3 are coming out this year, and then 1 is just solely an author that I would like to try out this year. So somebody who I want to read. So I guess I'll start with that one. I would like to try and read a Riley Sager book this year. I tried last year to find something like used or secondhand because I was trying to not buy a ton of books by the end of last year. But I would like to just read any Riley Sager book. The one that I have on my list is The House Across the Lake. But if there's one that you know that is better than that book, let me know, because I'd be interested in trying it out to read him. I'm intrigued by his reading. I'm intrigued by his writing, and a lot of my friends have read Riley Sager and they say they really enjoyed him. So let me know what your favorite book is by him if you've ever read a book by Riley Sager. Okay, and now the next 3 are actually ones that are coming out this year. They're all actually in like the first half of the year, so don't know if I'll be able to get to them in the first half of the year, but at some point this year I would like to read them. So first is Funny Story by Emily Henry. Emily Henry is just one of my instant buy authors. As soon as a book comes out by her, I just buy it. Don't even know what it's about. Don't care. I will buy the book. I'm like really excited for her book to come out, and that comes out April 23rd. And I love that Emily Henry, her books always come out around my birthday. Last year, Happy Place, which is probably was my favorite book of last year. It came out on April 25th, which is actually my birthday. And then this year her book comes out on April 23rd, so right before my birthday, so works out perfect. The next is The Fury by Alex, I can never say his last name, but you know, he's the author who wrote The Silent Patient, and I loved reading The Silent Patient. I think I read it 2 years ago, but he has a new book coming out called The Fury, and I'm intrigued to read it, so that is on my list. And then again, this one is like highly anticipated for me. Sorry, The Fury comes out January 16th, so super soon. And then this one is highly anticipated for me because, like I said, I really like this author. And this is her first time diving into like a fantasy series, so I'm interested to see. And it is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So I believe this one is a young adult fantasy. I'm not 100% sure, but it involves werewolves, vampires, fantasy, romance. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what happens. And that one comes out on February 6th. Okay, well, that is my list of my 24 books I would like to read in 2024. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Let me know some of the books that you are oh my gosh, why can I not speak today? Let me know some of the books that you are looking forward to reading this year, and if there's any on my list that you read before and you want to give me some opinions on, I love to hear them. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully I will be bringing you guys a little bit more book content here and there over the year, but we will see what happens. And yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.